All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Gathering, hosted by SRS Paranormal. I'm your host, Matt Swords, founder, and in the upper right-hand corner, you have our case manager, Al James. In the lower right, you have our photographic analysis expert and investigator, Christina Bowen. And our very special guest tonight, we are honored to have Mr. Daryl Marston from A&E's Ghost Hunters. Welcome, Daryl, and thank you so much for agreeing to come on and talk paranormal tonight.
Oh, man, no worries, man. I love talking paranormal. I got nothing better to do. I'm quarantined, so
like everybody else, just stuck, right?
Yeah.
I'm ready to get back out there.
Yeah,
I actually, we wrapped season 2 in early February, and I had all these events lined up that I was supposed to be doing, where I go to, investigate with the public or go to autograph signings and stuff of that nature. And I only got to one. Well, actually, I was doing some during the season, like in January and February, but I only got to one after that, and that was in California. And then when I got back, that's when everything went to lockdown a week or two later. But I was out there at the Glen Tavern Inn with the team, and we did an investigation out there, not too far from Ventura, and that was really cool. But all the events are starting to pick back up, which is, thank God, because in June, I literally have like June and July, I got like 10 events I got to do. So
great.
I'm very excited. Yeah, very excited about that. And I'll tell you guys more about them later on. But yeah, I'm very excited about getting back out. I haven't investigated since late February, so I'm in the same boat as everybody else.
Yeah, the last place we got to go was right before this stuff hit, and we went down to Hell's Bar and Brushy Mountain Penitentiary.
Okay.
That was the weekend, or literally the weekend before they shut everything down.
How's the penitentiary?
It's awesome.
If you get a chance to go, you need to go.
Brushy Mountain, right? Yeah.
Brushy Mountain, yeah.
I want to get down there to Tennessee and do Brushy Mountain and Old Pittsburgh Hospital. Yeah.
Got that lined up.
Yep,
We got that lined up for August. So
yeah, I think my manager is lining something up for August or October, and I think we're kind of holding off on it just to see what happens. But I probably will be there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, we got it coming up in August, and we're going to go back to Hell's Bar because unfortunately, the night that we were at Hell's Bar, a horrendous rain came through, and it was just wreaking absolute havoc on us. To where you know how that is when you get a lot of rain, your recorders are junk, your drop cameras are junk. You don't know what's, it just really spoiled a lot of our potential evidence.
Yeah.
So we're going to we're going to call for a redo.
Yeah. Audibly, it's terrible. Yeah, when you have like heavy rain or storms or anything, because it messes with trying to capture EVPs or anything.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
And it's got a lot of underground tunnels, which is where a lot of the activity. There's activity all through that places. It's huge, but the tunnels is where we wanted to really do a lot of focus because we felt like there was a lot of energy there, and it felt like that's where the activity felt like that's where we needed to focus some time. But with the water running in the walls and just the horrible bouncing off of the tin, we just couldn't use.
Oh wow, that's.
Yeah, she did say they were going to fix the roof though, so she said it should be fixed by the time we go back in August. So that'll make a huge difference.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I missed that one.
Well, Daryl, so how did you get involved in the paranormal? I mean, everybody obviously knows you from Ghost Hunters now on A&E. So how did your story start? How did you start out in this paranormal world?
Got into it by accident. I grew up in a haunted house when I was a child, but I was too young to remember. I was only like 6 when we moved out of there. And I just remember the stories my parents would tell me and my grandparents would tell me. But, I started watching all the shows in the early 2000s, like Ghost Hunters. And I knew nothing about it. I just thought they were fun. They were cool to watch and, interesting. But never investigated or anything. And then in 2005, I got invited to a local investigation. It was around Halloween. They were doing an event, and it was at Fort Delaware. And my mom got tickets somehow, and it was my mom, my stepsister, and myself. We went. We got there, and I've told this story 1,000 times. There was literally like 100 people there, and they had a set up where you could do a paranormal tour or a historical tour. Now, you remember 2005, paranormal wasn't that big yet, and a lot of people were kind of shying away from it. So then they asked, "Hey, who wants to do a historical tour?" Like 95 people raised their hand, and they're like, "Okay, who wants to do a paranormal tour?" It was like the three of us and a couple that came too, and we're like, "Okay." And this little old man stands up in the corner. I'll never forget it. And he's like, I'm the ghost hunter, so I'll take you. So he rushes us out the door, and we were there for about 2.5 hours. And we were down in the casemate, which is kind of underground. And Fort Delaware is actually an island. It's out in the Delaware River. And so it's kind of like under the ground part of it. It's where they kept the prisoners. And I'll never forget, man, I saw a half-body apparition, my first time ever investigating.
Wow.
I remember I was standing there, and we're talking. He's kind of like telling us about the area. And I look over my stepsister's shoulder, and I see from the shoulders up a man standing there about 10, 15 feet away, shoulder-length, scraggly hair, very dirty looking, a really scruffy, dirty beard, and he was gray. And he was there for about 10 or 15 seconds, and he just kind of sucked into a ball and just disappeared. And I didn't say anything to anybody. I thought they would think I was crazy. I thought I was crazy. And we had other things happen too. And I remember leaving there at night. We were only there for like 2.5, 3 hours. And I remember leaving there at night. I was like, I want to do this in some aspect. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I want to do it. And I started doing it, local stuff. And then I met my wife. We were dating at the time, and she kind of liked the stuff. She'd never did it before either. So me and her started investigating together, just fun, a little hobby on the side, vacations. We would go to Gettysburg, Fort Delaware, places like that.
Right on.
And it grew in 2011. We did that for a few years. In 2011, I started my own team. I said, I want to expand. So I started a team, and the crazy part was most of my team was from Ohio. We kind of hooked up through social media, and we started going places in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Maryland, everywhere. And we're doing that for a couple of years. And then it was getting expensive, of course, like paranormal is for people, especially if you're not on TV where everything's paid for. We were like, I'm like, man, I got to pull back, and I got to figure out, but I want to stay in touch with the people in the paranormal. So I started YouTube, and I did that for about a year, and it grew. Then kind of did like a podcast after that for about 7 or 8 months. And I said, well, I saw Paranormal Warehouse. I've been following some of the shows on there, and they had huge ratings. People were watching a lot. And I said, oh, okay, let me reach out to these guys. I sent my show out. It was a shot in the dark, and they liked it. So next thing I know, a month later, I'm on Paranormal Warehouse, and I'm doing live streams with anywhere from 5 to 15, 20,000 people watching at one time.
Wow.
And it blew up really quick. It was the American Ghost Hunter Show, which is still going to now. I have a good friend of mine running it. I own the rights to it. And next thing I know, I get called for Ghost Hunters. They see me on Paranormal Warehouse, and they saw some of my stuff on YouTube. And I didn't know it was Ghost Hunters at the time. I had interviewed for this paranormal show. And next thing I know, I'm in LA, and I'm doing stuff out there. And then fly back, and I got the job. I'm on the road, and I've been doing it ever since. And now I'm co-owner of Paranormal Warehouse too. So
awesome, man.
That's cool.
So that's a pretty crazy journey. It's just
we kind of 15-year journey. It was I kind of fast forwarded there, but I've come a long way in 15 years, man. For somebody who never who never thought I'd be doing anything like this, but pretty cool.
Yeah, we've kind of, like our team, we've always kind of had the feeling that certain people get called to paranormal. So like myself and Al, we're firefighters professionally. That's what our
cool
full-time jobs are.
Thank you for service.
Which is no, thank you. Which is kind of, that's you're kind of called to that, and we kind of feel like that paranormal is kind of the same thing, that people kind of get drawn to this, kind of like your experience. I mean, you'd never had an experience, and then you had that pretty much life-altering experience that led you on this journey.
I got hooked,
much like myself. Exactly.
It hooked me. It was like, I love this. It's freaking midnight, and I'm walking around this dark, dingy, creepy ass place, and I'm seeing things that I never thought I would see, and I was like, man. And then when you start doing it, you figure you start finding out it doesn't always happen that way, of course.
Right.
There's places I've been to where I've investigated and it's super active and crazy, and I'll go back there 3 months later and get nothing.
Nothing. Yep.
Right. And you learn that, and you learn
Absolutely.
patience. That's how you grow over the years, and you mature, and that's a lot of people think you just go out there like on the shows and everything happens right away. Well, I'm sorry, it doesn't.
Hours and hours and hours of nothing.
Yeah.
And I think and that's one thing I love about the way you guys are doing on the show now, and really is seeing that you guys mention that you're there for day 1, day 2, day 3, because I think people have a misconception that you guys go out there and you spend 3 or 4 hours in the place and you get all this evidence and all this stuff happens, and then they don't have that same experience. So they kind of, don't understand that it's literally, a week or 2 weeks packed into a 43-minute episodic format.
Thank you. I was going to say that, it's anywhere from 42 to 44 minutes, depending on the episode. And I tell you what, we're there no less than a week. We've been some places 2 weeks. And you're talking anywhere for each team, not just for, all of us. I'm talking for each team. You're talking anywhere from 10 to 15 runs. And a run is anywhere from an hour to 2-3 hours on these investigations. And you're seeing what the best of what we capture.
Right.
And
kind of the highlight reel, for lack of better words.
Yeah. And edited into that 42, 43 minutes. And so, when we eventually get to see the episode, we see it like a week before everybody else does. You're like, okay, now you're trying to remember everything that happened because it's been months ago, and then you see it and you're like, all right, I remember that run, but I remember that run being like 3 hours long.
And it makes it
30 seconds, yeah.
So you get used to that after a while, and it's like, it's funny, but the crazy thing, especially in season 2, the equipment that we brought to the table.
Absolutely.
Thanks to Brandon, having friends in the scientific field and engineers. Like the MCCD camera is taken it to a whole nother level, man. And it's been quite a blessing for us to, get our hands on that camera, because people don't realize that's not like a camera like someone or you buy on Amazon. That camera's been used for 30 some odd years by the military. And
that's like NASA stuff, right?
Yeah,
that's like NASA level stuff.
Yeah, it is. Military, NASA, and some of the scientific field. Anybody who in the scientific field that's trying to capture these single photon events for whatever reason they use it for. And it was basically the person who in the scientific field Brandon reached out to was like, I'm interested in paranormal. I've got this camera. Here you go. Let's see what you catch with it. And
that's awesome.
Let me look at it. And we were all kind of like on the fence when it first came out. I remember Brandon bringing it out and we're like, okay, well, it looks like a camera, all right. And then his first run, man, it was golden.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. I guess that's obviously what made the show, the episode, and seeing that fly through there, and it was like a comet shooting through the screen, and it was really wild to see that. And then understand when he explained the technology that goes behind that camera, it puts a different perspective, because your first instinct when those of us in the paranormal, what's your first instinct when you see something go across there? Your first thought is bug, dust, pollen, water vapor, but you guys addressed that really quick, that hey, this is cutting edge science here. It's not.
Yeah, then you saw it in Fort Stanton, where we call it the apparition peering out the doorway there.
That was wild.
Yeah,
it was wild.
Right, which we didn't, our IR camera didn't pick it up, our thermal camera didn't pick it up, but the EMCCD camera picked it up, and that's pretty mind blowing because you couldn't see it with your own eyes. They were looking right down that hallway. Brian was in the hallway walking back when they captured this thing, and it was like something. It was kind of like peeking out to see if they were still there, and it's pretty wild. And we've caught some other crazy stuff on that camera too, like in Alaska. I did my run in Mustafa where I caught the apparition on my body cam. Well, those guys went right up in that building right after that with the MCCD, sat in the same hallway and captured that like vapor mist, crossing the hallway, which was, you couldn't see with your own eyes once again.
Right.
So, pretty crazy. Yeah.
Well, that's one thing I think that is really great about what you guys are doing on the show is, and a lot of us that started in the early 2000s, myself, I'm just like you. My story is similar in the sense that 2005 was when my experience happened. By 2007, formed a team, and here we are all these years later. And I got like you, I got drawn into the paranormal. But where I
Yeah.
was going with that is I spent a lot of my time, much like yourself, watching the shows, watching the stuff like Ghost Hunters, like, seeing what they were doing and reading the books that those guys were putting out and all that. So I just wanted to tell you, as a paranormal researcher, and I think my team would certainly agree with what I'm about to say, you guys are not only taking what has paved the way. I mean, the original Ghost Hunters, they paved the way for a lot of us in the field today, but you guys are taking that to the next level and you're really elevating the paranormal. So on behalf of the paranormal community, thank you for continuing
Thank
to
you. I
innovate and
appreciate
elevate.
that. Very nice of you to say. It's funny. I'm looking back on some of my social media over the last month, ever since like Alaska came out, and I'm seeing everybody ordering freaking body cams now, and I'm loving it. I'm like, it's like I got so many messages, and especially a couple of that they were aired, and they're like, you had you had yours,
Matt,
and
don't ever call me a gearhead again.
and then they're like, so what body cam you wear? I want the one that, and I see people posting, I want the same body cam Daryl wears on the show. I'm like, dude, just get a body cam. You're fine. So it eventually got to the point where we had to get a hold of Brandon and say, Brandon, tell us what the body cam serial number is so we can post it. And, I got the number now. So when people ask me, I'm like, all right, this is the one. Go get it. It's a little pricey, but go get it. And people are loving them, man. It's funny to watch. Yeah.
Well, and I was going to actually bring it up. That's actually why I brought it out here. I was going to ask you why the body cam came around, because actually I put a little video up on our Facebook where when this one came in the mail and tried it out, did some night shot stuff with it or some nighttime filming with it and some regular filming with it just to try out the audio and stuff. So I kind of did like a little product review. But I did give you a shout out and I gave Ghost Hunters a shout out for giving us this idea, because all these years in the paranormal, hundreds of investigations, never thought of using a body camera. It never even crossed my mind as something to even try. We tried,
Right.
modified SJs and GoPros with all kinds of different lighting.
Yeah.
Never thought to do that. So how did that really come about, man? Because it's really cool.
It's funny because I'll start in the beginning. Our first time we ever met, we flew out to Florida, and we're getting ready to shoot St. Augustine, and they sent us all the original equipment from the original show. Like there was hard shell boxes full of stuff, and it was all in a hotel room. And we go in there and like, guys, go through it and take what you want and what you don't want. We'll send them back to LA. So we spent about 6 hours in this room one day, and we're pulling stuff out of this box. The whole team's in there, Grant, everybody. And we're just saying, oh, we don't want this. This is junk, blah, 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 blah. And there were some body cams in there. And we're like, oh, there's like 3 of them, or 2 of them maybe. And we're like, okay, cool, body cams, whatever. And we don't know where they came from. They never used them in the original series.
No.
And we don't know why they were even in the box. Maybe they're from like Live PD or something. I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe.
They were in the kit. So we kept them, and we kept like maybe 4 hard shell cases of stuff that we used, and we ordered a bunch. We had a wish list. This is what we want, and like the EDI Plus and things of that nature. They sent
Love
a bunch
it.
of
Used it for years. Love it. Yep.
Yeah, we ordered a bunch of those because there was none there, and so in season 1 we started wearing them a little bit here and there. Every once in a while you'll see on an episode we have them on. And I don't think we took them seriously until season 2 came along. We were like, look, we got to take these things serious because they really get. The thing was, our production company's like, hey, when you guys wear these body cams, it looks great. It's a POV shot. You need to start wearing them more often. We're like, okay, cool. Never thinking, how much we're going to capture on them. As a matter of fact, Brandon in season 1, we were in Pampa, Texas. He caught something on his body cam. Like a shadow figure peering out of a door jam, and so then we're like, it was kind of religion after that, wear your body cam.
Right. Yeah.
And I started wearing them every episode because they were really loving my POV shots. I don't know if some of the POVs, my POV shots, you can see my beard hanging down from it. So I think they kind of thought that was kind of cool.
Somebody just commented on that.
Yeah. I was getting ready to put up there, not to interrupt you, Daryl, but there was a comment I just put up on the screen, and it says, Daryl Marston and his team, as I have said a million times, his name is George. George, I am not going to attempt to pronounce your last name because it'd be better for
Joplin.
both of us if I don't. Shoplin, thank you. These guys are bringing it, and yes, I bought 2 body cams. So he just wanted to tell you guys how much he loves what you're doing. So big fan, obviously.
He's a big fan of the show. He's a great guy. He always hits me up about stuff. And I remember a few weeks ago, he posted something about the body cams. Him and his wife bought. Yeah, really cool, really cool. But
and there's the comment about your beard. Making a cameo. It says that your beard, yours, and it says yours and Brian Beards keep making cameos on the body cams.
Yeah, they do. It's funny. We actually we were in Galena back in January filming, and they had to like throw all our body cam because we were so like it was so cold in Galena. It was like 6 below when we were filming, and we had to put so many layers on. Like my body cam was up here, and all you could see, they had to throw out all my footage of my body cam.
Your beard.
My beard was like 3 inches longer at the time. I cut it after the season was over. And it was hanging down in front. All you could see was my damn beard the whole damn thing.
Let's see. I'm not sure that I want to put a body cam on because all you're going to see is kneecaps.
It's great, guys. When you start investigating with them, I tell you what, make sure you go back and watch everything because there's stuff like we even had them where we wore them on the back of our shirts.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah,
see behind you, see what's going on. I don't think we ever captured anything yet, but it's a great idea because
it really is. I like that.
Literally eyes in the back of your head. I mean, that's really kind of cool.
It's like having another investigator, which is so great about it. You turn the damn thing on, you clip it on, and you forget about it. You literally forget about it. Yeah,
exactly. It's like having. I would imagine it's like having one investigator strapped to your chest. I mean, it's actually the line I kind of used when I did my little video, even though I haven't really tried it in the field yet. But
yeah, and they got great IR, they got great audio, and they're amazing. I love them, man.
Yeah, that's a great idea, and I think that's another way that you guys are innovating. I mean, it's again, you guys are bringing something new and elevating the paranormal because, like I said, we have looked for so long for a POV type camera, and like I said, we've used all the typical action type cameras, and there's just issues with it. You got to remember to swap the battery, and that's another great thing about these body cams is they have such a long battery life compared to the action cams. You don't have to worry about memory cards and all the things that you have to worry, external IR lighting and all the extra stuff that goes with it. So
absolutely, I love them, man. For what you pay for a GoPro or any of those cameras, by the time you get all the gear and everything you need, like I got a really nice GoPro, and like, man, I don't ever use it. I would rather wear a body cam. Definitely, yeah.
That's awesome, man. I was going to say something about body cams. I was going to ask you real quick. So do you just clip it to your shirt? What are you using to mount it? Because that was what I was noticing when I was just playing with this one. And again, because of all the lockdown stuff, we obviously haven't been out anywhere. But yeah, I can see that being kind of the only thing that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. And I know our ladies are saying it's going to be a challenge for a different reason, but
already looking,
With me, thank God for season 2, we were mostly filming in the fall and winter. So I always had a jacket on, and I was able to clip it to my jacket or my vest. I always wear a vest. When we don't wear it, I usually wear a V-neck anyway, and I'll clip it right here, and it hangs down. Or I'll clip it to my waistband. I usually like clip it up here so you're getting like a really good POV shot of almost eye level where I'm at. And that's why I always wear it up here. Some of the investigators wear it on their belt clip and things of that nature. I like wearing it up here so you can see everything. It's like everywhere my eyes are, that camera.
Yeah.
Turn with you.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. I also like some of the other stuff that you guys have been using. And I don't remember the name of it, but the thing that looks like 2 ears.
Oh, the binaural.
Yes, that's pretty cool. It sounds like that's seems like you guys have captured some really cool stuff with that.
The only thing binaural is great. The only problem with the binaural is you have to, like when you're using it, you got to have somebody stationary. You got to put it on the ground. Somebody's got to be with it, with the headset on. That's my only drawback on it. And because I'm one of those investigators that's always moving. I'm like always you'll always see me in action shots. Like I'm always moving, and people they love that on TV when you're moving. Um, yeah, with that, you always have to kind of like be stationary and leave it. It's kind of rough. So sometimes you got to leave an investigator by themselves while you're taking off after something else. And that's my only drawback. So I prefer, I carry a Zoom 6, my personal Zoom 6. I use on the show. Sometimes you'll see it, sometimes you don't. Or, you know, just a regular Zoom 1 or something of that nature. And we also have the ambisonics. The ambisonics are really nice. I like them because, I mean, you can just, it's a tripod, you sit it on the ground, turn it on, and you go. And you can leave it there, and you can go investigate. And you can hear everything going on in the building when you listen to
That's
that
the
audio.
That's a 360, right? It's a 360 pattern of microphones.
Yeah, 360. It's perfect. It's got the little tripod. You set it and you roll, man. It's perfect. I love it. Yeah.
If you were on investigation, you could only have 2 pieces of equipment. What are your top 2?
2 pieces of equipment. Yeah, definitely body cam. That's an easy one. And I'll tell you what, I gotta say the EMCCD. I love that. I'm very visual. I'm not a big audio person. I do love a great EVP like anybody else, but I like seeing stuff. I like seeing the apparition and that EMCCD or the thermal. I love the thermals too. The thermals, because we carry cheaper thermals. People don't realize that we have the cheaper version that you can just clip onto an iPhone, which are amazing. We've caught some of our greatest thermal hits off of that one. And then we have the big one. We have a couple of the big ones that we carry, which kind of sucks because you usually have to have 2 people to do it. One person's holding the screen while the other one's holding the actual camera. But we got smart toward the end of season 2. We built an actual like a device where it holds both. It's basically, you know, it's basically like a camera, you know, extension, and you can hold both. It's got the screen here. So we got smart about that, and we started doing it that way. But I love those little thermals. I mean, you can get one for about $300. You clip it right onto your phone, and you roll. All you got to do is download the actual FLIR app and turn it on, and boom. And they're perfect for inside a building. They're not as good outside because they don't have they don't have the range as the big camera does. I think the range on those smaller thermals is like 33 or 35 feet or something like that. With a bigger camera is like 300 feet. It's an expensive piece of equipment, but we have like 2 of those, and we have like 10 of the little ones. Yeah, we have.
And I believe it was at Waverly Hills was Mustafa and Brandon got that figure that walked down the end of the hall on the FLIR that was on the iPhone. And I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask you about those just personally because we've looked at them. We've tried a couple other thermals, but they are very pricey. So would you really recommend that for, you know, the budget conscious teams? And there's a popping on the audio, guys, and I can't fix it. I apologize.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely recommend those the little clip-on FLIR. Like I said, I think they're like $270 or something. I think I looked them up. Don't quote me on that. They're not very expensive. And I mean, you literally put the damn thing in your pocket, and it's so small. It comes with a little case. You pull it out, you clip it on your phone, you turn your phone on, hit the FLIR app, and 5 seconds later, you're on full thermal. And they're great, man. They're amazing. We actually also, when we were in Fort Stanton, we had a little pistol grip. We put it on, and that's where we caught that thermal image of whatever was standing in the hallway at the very end that Mustafa and I were seeing. And they're great cameras, man. I love them.
Awesome. That's definitely something I know that's been on our list for a while as a thermal. You know, it's one of those things that I think that are great to have.
It takes it to a whole nother level, man. It really does. That thermal. Yeah.
Do you guys use SLS or believe in that at all? Or
I've got one right there. If you guys want one, I don't use it.
We actually have one, but you know, it's kind of a controversial.
Yeah, okay. This is how I explain it to everybody. I do not knock anybody using anything. I go to these events and people have SLSs. They have the old, whatever they have REM pods. They have everything. Problem with using equipment like that is there's too many false positives. Yeah. And with us on the show, we have a client we actually have to answer to at the end of the show.
Right.
And we have to have solid evidence used with equipment that's used not just in the paranormal field, but other professional fields that it doesn't have those false positives. And that's why we use what we use, and that's why we try to keep the show to a certain level,
Sure.
and especially with the equipment and with our client, because if I was take an SLS shot of a stick figure to a client and say, oh, I caught a ghost, I'd almost be kind of 50-50. I could, I wouldn't be sure of myself, that I captured.
Yeah, and kind of the way, and like Al said, we do have one, and the way that we've kind of always approached some of those more controversial pieces of equipment is, I kind of equate it like this: it's kind of like doing EVP work. If you're not careful with EVP work, you can also get something that isn't if you don't verify it, right? If you don't do due diligence, due diligence in verifying and making sure what you have is real. So, like for us, we won't a lot of times count SLS hits unless we have the EDI has hits at the same time or we capture an EVP. So if we have a secondary and a tertiary thing giving us that validation, then we're more apt to give credit to that piece of anomaly. Not necessarily label it evidence, but call that an anomaly. And I can only think of one, honestly, in all the times that we've used the SLS where we really felt like we actually had a communication with something that was valid on the SLS, because Al actually had a meter in his hand. He got a hit on the meter. He puts the meter out. He feels a cold spot, and the stick figure that mapped in actually reached out, touched his hand, and we tried for 3 hours to try and get something to map in there again, and never could. Still never would I say, were you 100% sure? No. Was it an interesting anomaly that interacted? Yeah, it was. Yeah. So that's kind of how we've always approached some of those more controversial pieces of gear, I guess, if you will.
Yeah. You really got to watch too what you're buying, because a lot of times you'll get that stuff and you look at the bottom or you read the label, it says for entertainment use only.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
a red flag.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're having to answer to an actual client or a homeowner that's having problems, you don't want to bring something like that there. You want to bring something that's going to give you solid evidence. And like I said, I don't knock anybody. You want to go have fun and ghost hunt and just have a fun time and not try to prove anything, go for it. Have a great time. I mean, we all done that. But like I said on the show, we have to use stuff that's scientifically proven.
Absolutely. And I
realize too, a lot of our the stuff we capture, especially like on the MCCD and things of that nature, and thermal FLIR, we actually send to professionals to look at before we actually show the client. Like we've had FLIR footage that we've actually sent to FLIR, the company, and said, "Tell us what you think of this." And when they come back and say, "I can't tell you what that is. I don't know what that is."
There you go. Right. That's validation.
Yeah, I've been using FLIR for 20 years, and I couldn't tell you. Or you send the evidence back to a scientist who uses the MCCD every day for the last 20 years. They're like, dude, all I can tell you is I've never seen anything like that. And it's like, okay, cool. That's all I need to hear.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think you raised a good point. And this is something I know we've talked about as a team a lot. We do a lot of residential work, and that's a totally different approach to that to when we go to a place like Old South Pittsburgh or any of the quote unquote big places we're going to have a good time ghost hunting, for lack of better words. That's not the same as paranormal research or when you're actually trying to do residential work. And we treat residential work entirely different. And our stance is people really shouldn't do residential work unless they really know what they're doing, because you're trying to really help somebody, and you can make a situation a whole lot more tenable, especially if you give them bad evidence or bad anomalies.
Yeah, we've all seen that.
That's a serious thing.
Yeah, we've all seen that, unfortunately, where you'll go to a client's house where they've had another team there or an investigator there or somebody, and they give them false evidence or bad evidence.
They just scare them.
Yeah, and it's not good. You can't do that. I mean, oh, your house has a demon in it. No, you don't. You don't have a demon in your house. You have what was a human at one time. It's an entity. It's still living here because it's attached to something in a house. It was its house, or maybe it's the house it lived in for 50 years, and that's why it's still there.
And I don't know what your thought is, Daryl, but I've got my own theory on that, and this is what I always have said: is I think people are in death as they are in life. So if you're an ass in life, there's a good chance that didn't change when you died. I mean, it just kind of follows you across the veil, I think.
If you're a grumpy old man, and you pass away, and then somebody buys your house, you're probably gonna be pretty damn grumpy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Grumpy old man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that's just, what we've kind of always kind of felt about that. Because, I mean, I think I'm not saying that the demon cases don't exist, but I just know in
They're
all the places
really,
I've been,
really rare, though.
I've yet to have one that I would put in that
Yeah.
category.
I've been on some cases where it was kind of like on the fence type stuff, and I don't think it was a demon, because I've always explained this to a lot of people. Demonic, you're not going to know. You're going to go into a case, and if it has a demonic entity there, you're not going to know it's demonic. It's going to act like it's something else.
Right.
It's going to attach itself to the weakest person it can find, and
It's gonna lower you.
It's going to just wreak havoc on their life. They're very, very patient. It could take years, it could take months, it could take weeks, and they will wreak havoc on somebody's life. And I think I've never ran to anything like that. I ran to something that was darker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was a demon. It could have been elemental or something. I don't think it was human at any point ever.
Right.
But I don't think it was a demon. No.
Right. And I think you raised another very excellent point there and I think a lot of people get the misconception with that is, you're right. Demons are going to do everything they can to trick you. I mean, they're not going to walk up and say, "Oh, hey, by the way, I'm a demon and you're going to hell." It just doesn't work that way. So, I think you raised a great point there. It may, the non-human things are in a whole different category. Most of what I think we encounter in the paranormal is just human spirits, nice or indifferent or otherwise.
99% of the time, it's a human spirit. When you do run into an inhuman spirit, which is quite possible, I'm not saying it's a demon. It's usually elementals. People who don't realize what elemental is, it's basically just a spirit that's never lived in a human form.
It's energy.
Yeah, it's just this energy that's there. It can be nasty, especially when you intrude on their territory. They're very territorial. I've encountered stuff like that before. I did an investigation in Kentucky about 5 years ago where I'm 220 pounds. Something picked me up and threw me on the ground like I was a child. And there was nothing there. And I left the building. It didn't follow me, thank God. And and I went back a couple months later to try to figure out what happened. Didn't run into it the second time, thank God.
Wow.
Yeah. You touched on that. Has anything ever followed you home? I think the term paranormal hangover we are all familiar with.
Yeah.
Your energy is just sucked dry.
Right.
But has anything followed you home?
Yeah, absolutely. I had something follow me home about 6 years ago, 5-6 years ago, from an investigation I did in Cleveland, Ohio. And it followed me home. It was pretty nasty where it was. And I reached out to friends in the field that knew how to get rid of stuff. And eventually took about 3, maybe 4 weeks to get rid of it. It really threw me for a ringer. I almost quit paranormal because of it. And doing paranormal, thank God I didn't. But it was to the point where I don't want this type of stuff following me home. And this location was very nasty. It was a very bad place in a very bad part of town, and there's so much negativity there. And I think
really dark.
I brought back with me an imprint, not so much, maybe not such an entity, but the imprint of the actual location came back with me. And like I said, it took a little bit to get rid of, but I got rid of it.
And I think that's something that, if you're serious about this and you spend enough time in the paranormal, that's something that you need to be prepared for can happen. I mean, I think that's when people say, "Oh, that stuff's not, real or it's not dangerous." Yeah, it can be. It can be dangerous for a lot of different reasons because, if your frame of mind isn't right when you go into that environment, you could be opening a door for trouble.
Absolutely. I always tell anybody, man, don't go on an investigation, especially if you don't know the place, if you're carrying baggage. Right. Because if you go in there and you just got in a fight with your wife or your husband, you're having financial problems or whatever your problems are, don't go because it will latch onto that energy, that negative energy will latch onto that, and it will play havoc on your life. I've seen it happen lots of times with lots of investigators.
Absolutely.
I know for us, before we start an investigation, everybody does something a little bit different. Personally, I like to ground myself. Everybody does different things. Do you do anything along those lines?
No, we all on the show, we all have our different beliefs, and I think what helps us on the show is the fact that when we go into these locations, we go in not ghost hunting, we go in as investigation mode, and we're there as observers. And we usually you don't see it on the show on the actual on the TV part of it, but you see it. It's something we do is where like I walk into an investigation, the first thing I do when I'm starting an investigation is every piece of equipment I have, I explain it to whatever's there. You're not going to see that because it takes like 10 minutes to explain it to the entity. And I explain it all to them. And I explain who we are and why we're here. And I think it helps us a lot. And nothing has, thank God, has followed us from some, because we've been to crazy locations, especially in season 2. And thank God nothing has followed us back that we know of.
And kind of we've kind of got, and we've kind of got the feeling, and I think that's what comes over from the show with you guys, and at least it's the perception that I gather, is about being respectful. And I know from reading stuff that Grant has wrote over the years and things, and that's a big thing we believe is being respectful. And the way that we kind of equate this, I wouldn't walk into Walmart and like be nasty to the cashier and just like smack the cashier across the side of the head. So why
you might feel like
with yes, this is true. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just you go in and you're trying to communicate with these entities. You have to be respectful of those entities, whether they're human or not or whatever. And we believe in the theory of you get what you put out. I mean, if you go in there with really positive energy and you do things the right way, your interactions for the most part are going to be positive. Yeah. If you go in there negative, you go in there with bad intentions, then you shouldn't be shocked when you get that in return. Just like if you walked up to the cashier at Walmart and smacked him, there's a good chance he'd slap back. I mean, bad stuff's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I completely 100% agree with that. Like I said, we go in as complete observers. We're not there to make anything leave. We're not there to rid the place of the entity. We're just there to show the client what we captured, to let them know they're not crazy. They're not seeing things. They're seeing what they're seeing, or they're hearing what they're hearing. And I think it works out good for us. And I think that's one of the reasons nothing has ever followed any of us home that, like I said, I know of.
What's been the wildest location you've been to?
On the show?
Yeah. Well, in general.
Well, on the show, I would probably say the wildest. There's quite a few in season 2. Mm-hmm. Clifton, Arizona. Fort Stanton. Yeah, Fort Stanton, Alaska, which was Haines, Alaska, and Galena, Illinois were probably the craziest. Yeah. As far as activity-wise, and the things that were happening there. Season 1, I think a really crazy place we did was Worley Hospital in Pampa, Texas, was really cool. And then I would say probably the Mohican Castle in Ohio was really. You guys didn't get to see. My thing is, and we've all said this on the team. We need to go back, and we need to take a different narrative to it and show some of the things that weren't seen, that kind of didn't make it to the show, and they could make a whole nother episode or 2 out of some of the stuff that happened there, and it was pretty intense location. I love the place.
One of the locations I want to ask you about is somewhere that me and Matt have been that I read that you went to, and that's the Hinsdale house in New York. What were your thoughts on it?
Quite honestly, I'm friends with Dan. I've known Dan for several years, and I went there, and I think the problem was I didn't get anything. We got like 1 EVP. Wow. And I think the problem is when we went there, we were literally walking over another team walking out the door. And that never works good in investigations because
the energy.
They used all that energy up, and that team had been there for 2 days.
That was one place where, to me, the outside was as scary as the inside was.
Yeah. It's a creepy location.
Yeah.
Definitely. And I've seen some amazing evidence from Hinsdale. We just
Yeah.
when I was there, I didn't. Yeah, we got like one EVP, man, and that was it. And I can't remember what I said. To be honest with you, it was more like a Class B or C EVP.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen some great evidence people have sent me from Hinsdale. I'm like, oh my god, I wish I'd captured that when I was there. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the place is really cool. It's unique, and the fact that the history of it is really, insane. The problem was too, we weren't really able to investigate outside that much because it was pouring down rain. It was like, we were there in October of 2016, and it was actually really warm, which is crazy for upstate New York.
Right.
I filmed Ghost Hunters in upstate New York, and freaking, it was the end of May and it was freezing.
Yeah, that's when we went last year was May, and we like the pros. We went to
Yeah.
Salem and Boston. Yeah, we made a big long road trip out of it.
We actually, it was funny because we were in Florida. We filmed down in St. Augustine. We jumped over to Idaho and filmed there. And then a week later, we were in upstate New York, and like Idaho was cold because we were up next to the Rocky Mountains, but Florida was hot as hell, and that was like late April, early
It's
May.
like a summer home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I tell you, and then we got to New York, and I'm wearing a winter jacket again, and it's freaking like the end of May. I'm like, no, come on.
Yeah, I don't think I packed enough warm clothes when we went on our trip last year.
It was cold, man.
No.
We were, like I said, we were in Hinsdale House. It was actually a really warm fall night, and it was pouring down rain. I'll never forget. And we weren't able to get outside and investigate too much. But yeah, I mean, I had a great time. I just love the fact that I was able to go and say I went. But yeah, no, I think it's a great place.
Yeah, we our experience was a little different in Hinsdale. We didn't capture a lot of anomalies or evidence or even good EVPs. Got a couple that are like you, Class B type stuff. Nothing I would share with anybody and say, hey, what do you think this says? Because it doesn't even. I wouldn't even. Class B is probably a stretch. I mean, it's definitely not us, and it's definitely voice related, but it's not. It's definitely not anything you could classify as that.
Right.
That
You
really
hear the
is,
voice, but you can't make out what's saying. Yeah.
it's really muffled and mumbled, but we had a personality shift thing happen to us. It was really weird. All my years investigating, never ever encountered anything like that. But it affected all of us. We all had this weird moods, and I'd heard of that. I'd heard of that theory before. But we don't always go by just the stories. You don't go by that. We go by our own research. We have a historian on a team. He researches and digs in and looks at all those things and actually finds us facts before we go to any location. And I apologize for the horrible popping. I don't know what it is. But so we go in with the premise of fact. We want to know the history and we want to know the facts of the place, and then we let the experiences happen. And if they match up to the facts, wonderful. If they don't, okay. And if nothing happens, then nothing happens. Because like you said, I mean, it's not a roller coaster ride. You never know when and if anything's going to happen.
Yep.
But that was the first time that I had ever experienced anything like that. Where when I go back and watch the footage of it, it's like it's not me. It's not my style. It's not who I am. It's not how we behave. And it affected all of us that way, which was really weird. I had never encountered that before.
Yeah, I have on investigations, not there, but other investigations where you don't feel like you feel like you're looking through somebody else's eyes.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. That's exactly what happened to us.
I've been like that at a place called the House of Wills in Cleveland and a place called Anderson Hotel in Kentucky. I've had that happen to me twice, and it's a weird feeling. It's very surreal, and I call it puppeting.
Yeah.
That's a great description.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I call it puppeting, and the reason is it feels like you have no control over your body, but you're still conscious and you can hear everything going on, but you don't care. You don't care what people are saying to you. Yeah, I've been in. Yeah, I know exactly. That's a weird feeling, man.
Yes, and I got to tell you, I am so thankful to hear you say that, because I have talked to so many paranormal investigators that never experienced that, and when you tell them that, they look at you like, "Yeah, okay." Yeah. So thank you for validating that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I call it. Yeah, because it feels like an entity almost has entered your body and has
Yes.
and controlling everything you're doing. Like you're walking, like you're not even walking the same. You're not talking the same. Your mannerisms are nothing like your mannerisms. And I've been there, man. It's crazy. The only way you could shake it is get out of the building, and you finally.
Would you consider yourself a sensitive?
No. People say I am. I don't. Yeah, I don't like using that label for myself. For whatever reason, yeah.
But I'm glad that somebody else that I've actually now talked to somebody that's actually experienced that, because that was a very surreal moment for me, because when we went back and watched the footage, I was like, golly, I was nasty to my teammates. I was nasty to the spirits. That's not me. So it was really wild. It was a wild experience. So let me ask you this, Anderson Hotel, that's an interesting thing, because we did the TV Rippy house there in Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, and we got to go up and do an investigation there, and it's an awesome old mansion. We ate at the little restaurant. What's the name of that album underneath?
It's in the bottom of it. I can't remember. It's
I can't remember the name of it either. Yeah.
Anyways, they got great food. I was going to plug them because that's such great food. Because I'm a foodie, obviously. I mean, tell. But anyhow, we tried to get up to go into there and see if we could get in there, but they're not letting people in there anymore. So how was it? Was it a wild location?
It was nothing like I thought it was going to be. That's the place where I got thrown on the floor.
Oh wow.
Wow.
It's crazy because we went in there. That's the place I got puppeted. We went in there and we were literally just doing the walkthrough in the beginning. And we probably been there for 15 minutes. And I disappeared. Like no one knew where I went. They were like, I could hear them calling my name.
Mm-hmm.
I had walked away and was like in a whole different part of the upstairs, standing in a bathroom, talking to something. And they found me. I could hear them calling my name, but I wasn't like responding to them. So they threw me out of the building, and I shake it, and I feel better, and we go back in, and it gets dark. We start investigating, and like we would get little things all night long, the usual. And I remember we're wrapping up. It's about 3 a.m. So let's just do one more run. So we go to the other side of the building. It just feels really weird over there, man. And we were filming. Yeah, we had a little hand cam. We're doing some stuff, and all this crazy stuff is popping off. And next thing I knew, I get literally hit. I was sitting in.
Wow.
Holy shit.
You didn't bring anything back from the Anderson Hotel, did you?
Wow. It's a live, folks.
Sorry, Daryl. I did not mean to bring up something that was going to cause stuff to fly off your wall.
That's awesome.
No, it's not.
God.
It's your house, not mine.
Daryl will definitely remember us from now on. We're the people that knocked the stuff off his wall. Sorry, brother. I apologize.
That picture's been up there for 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, well, I'll figure it out when I get over here. But yeah, whatever it was, I was sitting in a chair and I go to stand up and it just picked me up. I heard it approaching me from the left-hand side, and it picked me up and just pushed me right through the chair, man. I just totally annihilated the chair and everything. I'm just laying there in pitch black, just laying there like, oh my God, what just happened? And I just remember getting up and getting our stuff, and we didn't even put our stuff in the bags or anything. We just threw it in the bags in our cases and got out the damn door.
People are commenting about your thing falling off, so I'm throwing some of them up on the screen here.
That's very, very. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Melanie, I wouldn't say that's a coincidence. I don't personally believe in coincidences.
Yeah, that's my wife. She's probably in the other room like, what the hell?
Yeah, she also said, oh my God. So yeah. So she's like, oh yeah, I don't blame her. Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, so I'm sorry I brought up the Anderson Hotel. We'll shift gears, but no, you talking about that experience. The only time I ever had anything that I would say that really followed me was Hinsdale. I dealt with some issues after that. So that's why we talk about Hinsdale a lot, and I think that's why. My
That-
team wants to go back, but I've got kind of, I don't know, some hesitation there.
Yeah, I say we have unfinished business. We got to go because that was a bucket list item for me. I mean, I had researched it. I read the book. You know, I followed Daniel Cash for a long time. You know,
Yeah.
and when we got there, I was just kind of disassociated. I just really wasn't into it. You know, I just
He was on Facebook, like on his phone on Facebook the whole time.
Yeah, I
you know,
mean,
it's like totally
Really?
not our
I
case
was
manager. He's out
in
of
one of
there.
the coolest locations that I'd ever wanted to go to, and I was just, I don't know, it's like weird. So
Wow. That's
We
that
actually did Wildwood Sanatorium. We actually spent 2 nights there, right
Okay.
before that. So we spent 2 nights at Wildwood, slept at Wildwood, and then drove and did Hinsdale. So you talk about that paranormal hangover after those 3 days. So I can imagine you guys on the show
Oh,
when you were at a
God.
location for a week. By the time you get home, do you like sleep for 3 days? Because I know I would want to.
excuse me.
Yeah, and then when you get home, you're just like you don't want to do anything for the first week. Like when you're on the road, it's usually like a week or two break in between, and like by the time you get your energy up, you're jumping on an airplane. I mean, you got a memory. You got the paranormal hangover and jet lag on top of that. You know, flying everywhere. It's like you're in that state of mind for months at a time, and it takes a lot out. You get used to it though. You get numb to it after a while. It's just it doesn't even bother you anymore. I know once I go back, it's going to because it's been damn near 3 months since we wrapped season 2. So
Wow.
yeah.
So when do you start back to filming? I mean, of course, after this COVID stuff's over with, but I mean, generally, when is it?
We don't know. It's like they're just trying to figure all that stuff out right now, and they're like, New York and LA are still shut down, and that's where our bases are between A&E and our production company in LA, and we're all just sitting on our hands. And right now, my thing is, I'm just going to start doing a bunch of events that I need to catch up on anyway. So that'll keep me busy for a couple months, or we could get the call tomorrow for all I know.
Yeah, well, I was kind of asking when without the COVID stuff, when do you guys normally film?
Usually, when we went from season 1 to season 2, it was like a week and a half. It was hey, we guys giving you a week and a half off. We'll see you next Sunday. And that's how it was.
Enjoy your time. Yeah.
Have fun. Yeah.
Wow. Well, Daryl, I got one more other question for you real quick. So all these places you've been, where you've been in paranormal investigating for 15 years and you've done on the show, off the show, is there any place left on your list that's like, I have got to get there? If I could get this one place, what would it be?
Yeah.
Probably Tombstone. I've been past Tombstone when we were filming in Arizona, but I didn't get a chance to stop. Definitely, that's my number one bucket list place to do. I just, I'm a Wild West buff. I love that type of stuff. You add the paranormal into that, it's a win-win for me.
Absolutely.
There's all kinds of places out west. I mean,
Cool.
Goldfield.
Yeah. Some great locations out there to investigate, and I had a lot of great memories from investigating out there for most of season 2 was out west. So
Awesome.
Arizona, New Mexico, all those places, Utah. So great places. Love them, man. I love that desert, the whole desert look and all that.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Well,
I got some stuff I want to plug too before I get off.
Yeah, of course.
So for everybody watching, man, I'm gonna be at the Exchange Hotel in Gordonsville, Virginia. That's next weekend, June 6th. And June 13th and 14th, I'll be at Applewood Colonial B&B in Williamsburg, Virginia. June 26th and 27th, I'll be at Fort Mifflin in Philadelphia. That'll be Mustafa and myself, and also for the Applewood would be Mustafa and myself. And then July 17th and 18th, I'll be at Halderman Mansion in Mansion, Bainbridge, Pennsylvania. So that's some of the events coming up. I'll also be at the Gettysburg Bash later in July. I can't remember the exact date for that. So
Do you have like one website or a site that's got all your dates?
You can go to Flumery Productions, which is my management company, and they'll have my stuff on there. Also, you can go to my pages, any of my social media pages on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's all on there as well. Yep. And also, you can check my my new Patreon page I got started about a week ago. It's going to have a lot of behind the scenes investigations at a lot of these locations coming up. And go check me out on Paranormal Warehouses too.
Awesome, man. So Paranormal Warehouse, that's a part that you're a part owner in too now, right?
Yeah, I'm co-owner of Paranormal Warehouse, and very excited about that. I've been probably co-owner for about 6 weeks now, and like I said, yeah, it's the largest live stream, paranormal live stream in the world, with over 500,000 followers. So yeah, if there's any live streams out there or podcasts that are interested in coming over, shoot me a message, and I give people interviews for it, and we kind of go through the everything and kind of do like a meeting and everything, and tell you
Sure.
what we're about and what we offer, and see if you're right for this the network. And that's what we're doing right now. We're just building it up even to be even bigger than it is already.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, I was going to tell you, Daryl, anytime you want to come, we're 2 hours from Brushy Mountain.
Okay,
And
cool.
we're great friends with the people who run the paranormal tour
stuff,
there. So
Oh, nice.
we had them on several weeks ago. They're called Into the Line Paranormal. So you come down and
I would love to do the Brushy Mountain. My wife
Cool.
wanted to get there. She was talking about that a while ago. She said,
Yeah.
saw on one of the shows. She said it looked really, really interesting.
Oh, it's an amazing place. It
Yeah, I've
really
heard
is.
some great places. I see some YouTubers that were there and stuff. That was pretty cool. Had some
Yeah.
great stuff happen. So I would love to get there. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's one of those unique places. It's just when you drive up to it, it's got that just really ambiance to it. It just
I
sucks
love
you
that.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, that just sucks you in, man. That's the best part about it.
And we've been a couple of times now, and every time we've gone back, it's that same feeling. So it's not like you went there to once and it's like it's like it gets you again. I don't know. I love that place.
Yeah.
I will investigate there every chance that Jamie invites us down. We jump
Yeah,
on
that's
that
like
opportunity.
that's like Fort Delaware for me. I mean, when you pull up to Fort Delaware, you take the boat over onto the island, and you come up to the this windy road, and you come to the fort, and all of a sudden this huge fort. It's like it gets me every time, man. It doesn't matter. I've been there, a dozen times or more, and every time I just like I'm in love with the place. Yeah, I could do it. I can investigate there every day. It's amazing. Yeah.
Well, Daryl, I'm going to get ready to shoot the outro here, but I want to thank you for coming on tonight, taking time out of your busy schedule to come on here and talk with us. And once again, to you and to the Ghost Hunters cast and crew, you guys are elevating the community. You're elevating the paranormal. You continue to innovate. And as a paranormal researcher, I really respect and admire that. And I thank you for the great job that you guys are doing. If you would stick around for just a second when we go off air, we just want to talk to you for just a second. If you've got another minute, we would really appreciate it. And I'm sorry that your picture got thrown off the wall there. That was wild. I got to admit, that's never happened to me before in my life.
It's not moved in 5 years. I've had that hanging for 5 years, and also come to your damn show.
We do have
Well, we told you that we would talk about paranormal and much, much more. We just didn't tell you what the much, much more was.
No
All right,
worries.
guys, I'm going to go ahead and shoot the outro. But everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight. We will be back next week with another guest, Mary Jo from Penn Paranormal. And then June 12th, we actually have Brian Murray coming on from your show, from Ghost Hunters. So Brian's agreed to come on with us. So
My wife was just on the phone with Mary Jo, like right before I came on.
Oh, cool! Yeah, she's actually going to be on with us next week. So I've never met her. I followed her on social media there, so I reached out to her and asked her if she'd come on. By the way, we're fairly new to this. We've only been doing this is only like our 9th or 10th show, so this is a new experience for us. Thank you, Daryl. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
We're still learning how to do this. It's a new thing, but we love talking paranormal. We love talking to people. So we couldn't get out and investigate. We thought let's do this and meet
That's
cool
the way to
people
do
like
it. I've
yourself.
seen so many. I mean, not to go too far, but I've seen so many new live streams pop up. I've been on, probably 50 or 60 in the last 3 months, and not half of them had just started because of the quarantine. They started live, and they're doing a great job. I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome! I love it.
That's why we did it, because we had we do a lot of, and I'm not going to get long on this, but we do a lot of public events where we do public investigations, and we do it with historical sites. We have several state historical sites that we have exclusive access to as a team that we went in and investigated. They're active. We know they are. And then what we do is we help those sites raise money to keep those sites going. So that's a big part of what my team is into. And
That's good. That's good calls. Absolutely.
thank you, man. And we had a bunch of those scheduled, but of course, when all this hit, like everybody else, we had to shut down. So it was like, man, we can't investigate. We can't do that. Hell, let's do a live show. I mean, everybody else is doing it. Let's give it a try. How bad could it go, right? And then we get you on here, and stuff flies off your wall. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
That's great.
Great replay.
So you might want to text Brian and tell him, hey, man, Sage and stuff before you go on this show, because weird shit happens when you talk to them guys.
You need to post that, because you're gonna get a lot of viewers on that one.
Well, Daryl, you have been an absolute great guest. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. You have a standing invitation to come down and investigate with us anytime, which I know you get that all the time, but you absolutely have a standing invitation. So hang around for just a second. I'm going to shoot this outro, and then we'll be off the air here.
All right, guys. Have a good one.